Hello and welcome. On the show today, we're going to be taking a look at Espro's new coffee tasting cups. It's really a fun, unique product. I've been looking forward to something like this for a while. I've had the experience of having coffee from cups specifically designed to accentuate certain tastes. So I think I talked about this on the channel here. We also talked about this on the podcast a couple of years ago when Tim Wendelbo was at the La Marzocco Cafe in Seattle. They have specialized cups designed for the taste of the coffee. What we found is that you could have a coffee in like one coffee in the different cups, and it would taste like a different coffee in each cup. And it's still kind of a wild thing to try to explain because no matter how you think about it or accept it, it's still a crazy experience in person. So Espro now has a coffee cup set. They're coffee tasting experience cups. So essentially if you get the set, and you can actually buy these cups individually, and of course I'll link to all this below, but you get the set, you get one of each cup and this nice serving tray. On the show here, what I'm gonna do is take one coffee. I've brewed up Conduit Coffee Springtime Blend, which is a combination of Peru and Costa Rica. It's their Spring Blossom blend. I'll link to that below if it's available, but either way, the Peru and the Costa Rica are available on the site. But so this is like a nice chocolate fruit combination. So we should be able to explore different aspects of the coffee through these. But I'm gonna take the one coffee and try it in all of these cups. And then also, I'm gonna try it in one of my favorite, just regular everyday cups. This is just a double wall glass cup, but the shape of it is very similar to other cups that I have that are among my favorites. And this is not like, it does this like U shape in the middle versus a standard cup, which is a bit more like cylindrical, and diner mugs, which are their own thing. In this video, I'm not going to go over all the different kinds of other cups that I have. I think I might do that in a separate video because I am curious how, from an everyday drinking perspective, the shape of the cup is something you can think about. I do find that I gravitate towards specific cups, and the experience that I find in this cup set really highlights that for me. I'm going to set this aside for now. I'm just going to do that at the end because really I want to explore this set and what the experience is like. Okay, now I did an unboxing basically I did an unboxing of this set a little bit ago on one of the Cup of Joe videos. I will link to that below this video as well, so you can go check it out. I think the main concept with getting this tasting set is that you do take one coffee and try it in all the different mugs. However, you can also take it to another level and say I've got this fruity chocolatey coffee here and I really want to experience the fruit in it. Well, this mug is designed to accentuate fruity and berry flavors. So I could say, well, I know there's fruity flavors in this coffee that I really want to taste, so I'm going to have this mug. But I could also say, well, you know what, I really want to taste the chocolate in it, and then we can go to this mug, which accentuates the cocoa flavors in coffee, and then I could have the coffee in this mug. So I think that's also something that you can do as well. I think the fact that this set is presented with this nice serving tray gives you the opportunity to explore the experience of tasting different parts of the coffee just by changing the shape of the mug that you're having the coffee in. So you brew coffee one way, is brewed on a Kalita wave, and then I'm going to be enjoying it all in the different mugs. This is another interesting point that I've run across for myself, I think. Simply by the fact of how much coffee I have, I can't actually fill all these cups completely, but I think actually the experience is accentuated when you don't. And I find myself doing this in my own coffee cups, and this is more, at least I would have said before this experience that my tendency to not fill a coffee cup completely is more because I like to enjoy smaller amounts of coffee. Like I'd rather have 4 cups, like 4 half cups than 2 whole cups of coffee, if this exact same amount of coffee, but I'd rather experience it in smaller amounts. But what's happening with these cups is that the shape and it is affecting like the shape of the cup, the design. Like you can see some like major differences in the shape and design of these cups is affecting not only how the coffee flows into your mouth when you drink it, but also how the aromas are coming out of the mug. And that all influences the taste of the coffee. I'm actually gonna sit and let these cool just for a minute while I kind of go through a couple other things. I wanted to pull out their tasting cup guide and just flip through a few points. This guide is more of a, I mean, it's a very straightforward guide. There's not much information in it that you can delve into. I mean, it looks like a big instruction booklet. They do have a really nice, simple tasting wheel. So I think that's pretty cool to be able to reference that. So while I'm drinking from this fruity cup, I can go in and, or the berry focused cup, I can go in and say, okay, what kind of berry am I tasting? That kind of thing is really fun to experience. I guess I should have mentioned, so we have fruity, or berry fruity, we have cocoa, we have, I believe this is the floral one. So they actually have it on the bottom. No, this is spicy cinnamon. Oops, that's spicy cinnamon. And this is floral. Oh, okay, so here's another point. I'm gonna take a picture of this and put it on the screen right here because it's gonna be really hard for me to show on the camera, but in the inside of the handle is a special symbol for each one. So the floral, here's a little like little flower petal. The spicy cinnamon has an icon, the chocolate, and the fruit berry. So if you're forgetting, like I am, you don't need to do this kind of goofiness when you have coffee in your cup. Floral Jasmine is what that says on the bottom. So the floral wheel here includes jasmine, rose, and black tea. This also has some other things that are not, like this is supposed to be very fruity. The fruity aspect has some citrus things to it. So you're gonna find other tastes than just like fruity berry. Like let me go ahead and, it is incredibly fruit forward. I can taste the chocolate still. That's that Peru. It's a naturally processed Peru, really delicious. But that cup is really fruit forward. They give you some like descriptions of each of the tastes. I'm not going to read through these, but for the most part, this product I think just gives you the opportunity to explore, and that's really fun. Let's have a look at the cocoa. So, what's really fascinating between these two? So fruity berry, cocoa, that's the mugs. This absolutely comes off as like fruit berry first. And drinking from here, I almost don't even taste the fruit. Like they do taste like two completely different coffees. In broader terms, I think the brighter acidity hits my perception first when I drink from here, and it doesn't from here. Like if I hold it in my mouth and I think about it, yeah, I can't find it, but it's very different. It is much more like cocoa coming from this. Okay, let's go with the Floral Jasmine. So there is a brighter acidity to this compared to the cocoa, and maybe you could call it berry, but only in the bright aspect of it, like the way it kind of hits the front of the tongue, but I don't really taste fruit. There's almost like the sour nature of fruit. Like if you took a berry and you took out everything that wasn't like the sour part of that berry flavor, that's kind of what hits my tongue first. It's an interesting cup to be drinking from because I don't think this coffee really has many, if at all, floral taste components to it. I think, what did it say in here? I'm looking at the wheel again. So floral could be jasmine, rose, black tea. Yeah, I could see black tea from there. I think the fact that there's naturally processed coffee in this makes that more difficult because the fruit sugar is, I think it's much harder for naturally processed coffee to taste like black tea. If this was a fully washed coffee, then I'd probably get more floral-like scents coming out of this cup. But it's quite intriguing to me that I don't really see this as fruit in the way that I see this as fruit. So this is much sweeter than this is. It's got like that same brightness, but I taste the fruit sweetness in here where I don't in here. And let's pick from their berry selection. So blackberry, blueberry, strawberry, raisin, cherry, pomegranate, grape, apple, peach, pear, stone fruit. There's definitely a combination of cherry and I almost want to say pomegranate, but I think that's just the brightness of it. Cherry and apple, I want to say. It's like some kind of combination of that. But in here, that actually almost turns sour. Oh, that's interesting. Like the brightness is there, but the fruit sweetness of it, I just can't pick up at all. I would actually, if I was just drinking this coffee straight up and not like looking to explore the different tastes, and I poured coffee, I had the coffee in a mug like this, I might actually think it was brewed incorrectly compared to having it in this. Like I might actually think, oh, that didn't come out at all. Interesting. So let's try, this is the spicy cinnamon, so this might accentuate pepper, anise, nutmeg, clove, cinnamon. Okay, first off, the brightness is gone. So like the cocoa here, that really bright on the front feeling just doesn't happen. So like bright lemoniness, not quite lemon, but like almost like citrus, like bright sour edge is gone in this cup. But also the richness of the chocolate isn't quite in it. It's sweeter than this one. If I think really hard, I can feel on my tongue what should be spice. Like I'm not sure that this coffee naturally has much like spicy elements to it. I think it's pretty at its base. It's pretty like rich chocolate and sweet fruit. That's really intriguing. So it's much more pleasant than this one. It lacks the sour front edge. Neither of these three really pull out fruit. Like I can taste it. Obviously I tasted the most in the fruity one. I can taste it a little bit in here, but this is really more about the chocolate. The fruit is gone from this. I also don't really get any of the chocolate. So it's just sour and then kind of flat, to be honest. Like I can taste that there's sweetness in there, but I can't really tell what it is. This one doesn't have the sour, but also it's really hard to taste what the sweetness is. Like it's hard to see rich chocolate, whereas in this one I can see rich chocolate. Okay, that's a lot of talking about these coffees. I think I can go on and on, but I think you can see, well, hopefully you can see that like I just had one coffee brewed. That was just the one batch brewed on the Kalita, and I put it into each of these mugs, and the taste experience of the one coffee is vastly different from mug to mug. So that's a really cool experience in itself. You might be able to manufacture that just by taking vastly different shaped mugs of your own and having one coffee in each of them and seeing what tastes best to you. But the nice thing about this is that these are very specifically crafted. Like this mug will highlight the fruity elements of your coffee if they're in there. Same with this and the cocoa, and this and the spice, and this and the floral. So it's really nice to have that kind of guided experience. If you have continuously like the same kind of coffee, like if you drink the same coffee all the time, then you know it might be fun to like just get like this mug. If you like a nice Central or South American coffee that's really chocolatey, then maybe you might just enjoy drinking out of this mug more than any other mug, just because it highlights that component. All right, so I could go on and on about these cups. Before I get into trying out just a regular sort of coffee cup experience, and what I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna take all this coffee and put it in there, and then try it out and see what I perceive, remembering that when drinking this coffee from here, it's really like fruity, like rich fruit, and from here it's like rich chocolate, and from here it tasted like sour, almost almost under extracted, but there was an edge of sweetness that made it clear to me that it's extracted properly. It just didn't taste right. And from here, it was just kind of, well, almost boring. Like now that it's cooled, I can kind of taste the chocolate on it. It's just not terribly, I don't know, chocolate and vanilla maybe. It's not too bad. It's not too bad from here, but it's definitely not as good as these two. So that's really interesting. But before I get into doing that, I want to make a couple comments on the product. So if you listen to the podcast, you'll hear us talk about how smelly the tray is. So when the tray first comes out of the box, it can be really, really smelly, like lacquer finish smelly. What I did do after recording that is I just let the tray sit out for a day. And after a day, the smell is completely gone. Like, it's been quite a while now, and even putting my nose right up against it, I can barely smell anything. So that's just a point of interest when you get the product. Make sure you take the tray out immediately and just let it sit out and air out. Another thing that I noticed, and I sent this information to Espro, so they might make some changes to the tray, but I don't know if it's gonna come across in the video. Actually, let me take these guys off here. I've had the tray sitting out on a table in my living room, and it gets exposed to sunlight. And I've noticed this might be showing up, but this edge has like started to bleach. And this is like the edge that has just been sitting in the sun. So I also feel like it's dulled a bit. Like I personally don't care. I think it looks like a really nice tray, and like the variation doesn't really bother me. But just as a point of interest, I figured I want to point that out. They may or may not do anything about it, and honestly, I don't think they need to. I think it's fine. But I could see some people maybe not liking, not expecting that to happen, and it happens. Like, you know, you think it's going to look one way, and then it just changes. And no, some people can find that disappointing, but I don't think it's a problem, just a point of interest. One other thing I wanted to comment on, which again, doesn't really bother me at all, I don't think. So I got the gray cups. These are gray. The gray doesn't look all that different from the white. It looks more like an off-white than a gray. I kind of want the gray to be more contrasty. That's why I went with the gray, so that there's a contrast between the outside and the inside, as opposed to just having white cups, which I'm kind of tired of just having white cups. And unfortunately, at a distance, especially, these just look like white cups, or honestly, maybe even like dirty white cups. So if I'm making a criticism at all about the product, it's that the gray could be a little darker. I don't know. I think that the cups are well made. They obviously do as advertised and give you a really interesting taste exploration experience. I think it's worth getting something like this just so that you can have fun exploring the taste of coffee in a different way, and maybe learn something about your own mugs. Maybe it drives you to look for particularly shaped mugs. I've been saying that, I think I said at the beginning, this is one of my favorite mugs. I have another daily mug that's like this, a little bit smaller. It's not double wall glass, but it's got this kind of U shape. And they're kind of similar to the fruit, like combination of the fruit one and the chocolate one, which happen to be the sort of flavors that I enjoy. You might look at this one and think it's similar, but there's something very specific I should point out. They don't actually describe this in the book as far as I could tell, but these tapered tops, like the way that the taper happens at the top of the lip, and this one has a unique one where it goes in and then comes back out. Just to exaggerate, it's doing this here. That affects the way the coffee flows into your mouth in a surprising way. This is one of the key influencers on how this tastes. Like, look how similar the lower bodies of these cups are. Like, the main difference between this one and this one are that this is like the fruit cup here, but then it dips in a little bit and then flows out. And that subtle difference makes, like, I can barely taste fruit in this version, whereas this one screams of fruit. and just those subtle differences. So I don't know the science behind that. I can't speak any more than my observations here, but I just wanted to point that out, that those tapers make a huge difference. So if you're looking at like your own coffee mugs, be wary of the taper. I have one of my old-time favorite cups, which is generally too large for me now, has this sort of shape to it. And I'm curious when I go back to doing some comparisons between coffee cups, I want to see how that pans out. But before we go, let's just, again, not to worry, this is all the same coffee, not contaminating anything here. And actually, I probably filled that too much, but. All right, I just want to lower the level a little bit. Okay. So there's the brightness. The chocolate immediately hits along with the fruit. It's very integrated. Like, it's not as bright and fruity as this. It's not as deeply chocolatey as this. It's not as sour. Like the sour I can see, but it's integrated. It just kind of flows into everything. So the sour's not highlighted, and in fact, I would call this a more dynamic tasting version of this, which is kind of interesting. My first impression is not that of fruit, but it's bright, and then the chocolate hits, and then I can see the fruit as well. It's in there, but it's like mixed in, versus I actually still have coffee in this one. That's like fruit all at the front. I don't know if I draw any conclusions from that as far as tasting coffee in this cup. What I want to do is, as far as that goes, is, like I said before, do a similar thing here, but with my regular mugs, and just see what tastes different. I think it's going to require trying multiple different coffees. Because as I noted in this one, I used a Conduit Spring Blossom, which is a combination of a natural Peru and a Costa Rica, and it's like chocolatey, fruity. I think if I had a fully wash processed coffee, this would be a very different experience. I'd probably get some interesting floral stuff out of it, whereas the floral cup with this coffee was the worst one. There was a moment in tasting during that where it just came off as super sour and unenjoyable. But anyways, this creates a really interesting dynamic and tasting experience. So I'll link to everything below, the cups, where you can find them on Espro's site, Conduit's coffee, and everything I've used on the show today. If you have any questions about these cups or coffee tasting in general, don't hesitate. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite mug is. Take a look at your favorite mug shape and let us know below in the comments. Maybe we can find some commonalities in delicious mugs. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.